let's take a moment and just allow yourself to drop deeply into the self. Just take a moment. Normally, the powers of our awareness, our perception, are focused on the world around us. What we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we smell. But for a moment, just take those powers of awareness, and instead of picking up every random sound or smell or sensation, instead of that, turn those powers of awareness deep within you. Open within you the inner eye. Open the inner ear. Just open that power of awareness. Of what it's like right here, right now, in you. Allow the awareness to come to the breath. And don't try to change the breath. We're not manipulating it. But just allow that awareness to merge with your breath as it flows gently in and gently out. Just be aware. If the mind wanders, don't worry. Just gently bring it back to the breath, back to this moment. If you find the mind wanders a lot, you can give it a very simple and beautiful mantra to use, which is so hum. And it means I am that. I am one with all. I am the creator. I am the creation. I am one with the universe. And so on the inhalations, you can chant silently to yourself. So. And on the exhalations, you can chant silently to yourself. And just allow that to almost chant itself through the spaciousness of your being as the awareness stays anchored in the breath. Slowly and gently bring the palms of your hands together at chest level in Namaste and rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. And slowly lower the hands and open your eyes. Welcome to Satsang. Wonderful to be together with you all. Thanks for getting the lights on in the back. It's so much nicer to be able to actually see people sitting back there. We'll start as always with a question that's come in advance from our family joining us online from around the world. And then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. What do you think What do you think the hardest life lesson is to learn? From Doris in Milwaukee in the United States. The hardest life lesson. God, there's so many. Isn't life just full of hard lessons? I think the hardest is probably also the most important, which is that we are not this physical body. You know, we spend most of our lives identifying as the body, and therefore spending a lot of time and energy and attention and resources to make that body beautiful, strong, powerful, rich, popular. So whether it's what our skin or hair looks like, whether it's the clothes we wear, the car we drive, the house we live in, whether it's the job we have, the bank account we have, the title, position we have, if you look at the hours that we spend awake every day, the vast majority of them, I mean, if you remove when we're eating, when we're bathing, when we're hopefully meditating, if you remove that and you look at the hours we're actually moving through the world, doing things, the vast majority of those things are for what I identify as self. Keeping the body healthy and strong, definitely a good thing. Keeping it looking good, covering it with whatever we think are the nicest clothes or accessories or shoes or handbags or whatever it may be. Working to get better and better titles, degrees, positions, accolades, awards, etc., so that I feel like this me is big and worthy. And spiritually, what we're told and taught is we're not the body. And I think that's probably the hardest because it feels so real. The physical body does. But also when we say we're not the body, that's not just talking about our bones and muscles and skin. It's talking about all of the physical components. The electrical components, the energetic components, the chemical components that make up this body. And that means my brain. It means the chemicals in my brain. It means the electricity that runs through my brain. It means the structures in my brain. Now, if I simply say to you, you are not your frontal lobes. So of course not. I mean, we know that. Nobody's going to stand up and debate me. No, I really, I am my frontal lobes. If I say to you, you are not serotonin, you are not norepinephrine, you are not dopamine, nobody's going to stand up and say, oh, yes, I am. We understand that we're not when I say it like that. But if I say to you, you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you are not your memories, you are not your feeling state. Well, then it's a lot harder because a lot of us feel like we are. I mean, I am kind of the sum total of my memories, my emotions, my thoughts, my knowledge. But all of those things are a chemical and electrical pattern of behavior that takes place in a certain area of the brain. And we know this because when you change things in the brain, whether chemically, whether structurally, whether on purpose, whether through a stroke, through dementia, whatever it may be, anything that impacts the physical structure or the chemistry or the electricity of the brain, well, it changes our whole self-identity. Changes our personality, changes our memories, changes our emotions, changes our thoughts. So I think the hardest lesson to learn, or certainly one of the hardest, is to really realize that I am not those things. It's also, by the way, perhaps the most important thing to learn. So it's worth the effort, it's worth the difficulty, because when we identify as that, we suffer. We never feel like we're enough. We're not smart enough or successful enough or rich enough or popular enough or worthy enough or smart enough or good enough. Our job isn't good enough. Our relationships aren't good enough. Our health isn't good enough, or whatever it may be. We suffer in our relationships. We bring suffering to others. And so spirituality teaches us you are not matter, you are spirit. Matter exists and it's beautiful. We've been given these beautiful bodies. Take care of them, enjoy them, use them. But just don't get mistaken into thinking that you are them. And that's where the material viewpoint shifts to spirituality. Spirituality simply says, I'm not the matter. You're not the matter. I'm the spirit that runs through me, or the spirit that runs through you, and guess what? It's actually one spirit. So there actually isn't a place I end and you begin. There isn't a place I end and the universe begins. And if you can learn that, we begin with it, learning it intellectually, but if you can really learn that experientially, it's perhaps the most powerful, healing, transformative lesson. And the hardest, because it requires that detachment from all of that we thought we were. Other questions? Any questions? Anyone here? Yes. Yeah, he's got a microphone for you.
Can you hear me? Can you please share, what do you feel? Oh yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Can you please share what you feel is the meaning of grace, what it means to live with grace, what grace is in the world?
Beautiful. The meaning of grace, for me, when I think of grace, to me it means living with the awareness of the presence of the divine. The awareness that there is an energy, and again, it doesn't matter what our religion is, it doesn't matter what we call it, it doesn't matter how we pray to it or whether we do pray to it or not. But it's there. It's this energy of the universe. It's the energy to me that makes flower petals open to the sun. This energy in creation that just makes us allow ourselves to be touched and blessed and open. And so when you speak about living with grace, to me it means living with an awareness that there's an intelligence in the universe, a wisdom in the universe that pervades everything. That there's a plan in the universe, and that if we just have the ability to step back enough, we would actually be able to see how all of the different threads interweave into a tapestry. Now, we could certainly debate whether we think it's the best plan or not the best plan, but regardless, that there is a plan that we would call a divine plan, and that each thread of us, of our lives, is interwoven quite purposely, quite meaningfully. Not just into each other, but into this tapestry of the creation. And so living with that awareness. When I think of grace, I think of surrender. One of the analogies, metaphors that I use a lot is that, you have a physical heart attack, not because the blood isn't flowing, not because you don't have enough blood, but because your blood vessel has become so chock full of junk. We call it plaque. And it builds up in the blood vessels. And so first the blood pressure gets really high because now the vessel is very narrow. And eventually, if the vessel gets completely obstructed, if you don't get tested and operated on soon enough, you have a heart attack. But again, it's not because you didn't have enough blood or good blood. It's because the vessel through which the blood flows was clogged. And I think in our lives, when I think about grace, I think surrendering to that flow of the divine energy and clearing out as much gunk as we can, with the awareness that that which we're clearing it out for is of infinitely more value than that which we're holding on to. And so it's a process of emptying so that I may receive. And so when I think about living with grace, that it's not so much, this is my plan, my way, but rather let's empty ourselves so that the flow that turns apple seeds into apple trees, that give us juicy apples, that turn flower buds into flowers that open their petals. that which flows through all of nature, let it flow through us. Because clearly it knows what it's doing. And when I think of grace, I think of living with a constant awareness of that presence of the divine. Not just in me, but in all. And so to me, living with grace is also living with deep gratitude and appreciation. That whatever we're seeing is an embodiment of, a manifestation of, a reflection of the divine. And that the more connected to grace within me I find myself, the more I'm able to see grace in others. And so you get less impacted by people's annoying idiosyncrasies, shall we say. That instead of moving through the world thinking, oh my God, that person is obnoxious, they're annoying, they're rude, they're this, they're that, you're able to just see it as individual karmic journeys and karmic toolkits, that they're moving through their world with, but that there is grace flowing through them as well. But they may just not be able to connect to it. Yeah, of course. Yes. Mike, yahan dena.
When we talk about destiny, they say there is karma and they say there's free will. So I'm getting confused between, what is going to be in our destiny. Is it karma or it's free will of God?
Great. Karma, free will, destiny. So it's a really important distinction because a lot of people have the same confusion that you have. A lot of us are told, oh, your destiny's already been predetermined. It's all the sum of karma. There's nothing you can do. Whatever is happening must be happening just because it's your destiny. And really all we can do is accept it and try to smile, right? But that isn't actually true. There's 3 types of karma. Karma just means action, of course. One that we think of as long-term, one more short-term, one more immediate. Meaning that which I do, the karma I do, the action I do, is going to bear fruit. Some of it immediately. I hit you, chances are you're going to hit me right back. Immediate fruit. I'm thirsty, I drink water. My thirst is gone. Immediate fruit. Some of it is a little bit longer. You study hard in school. Doesn't seem like it's bearing any fruit. Kids get frustrated and annoyed. Why do I have to do it? But we know it's going to bear fruit, not just on tomorrow's quiz, but in you getting the job and the career that you want, the opportunities that you want, you being able to create the life that you want. So that's kind of medium term. And some is much longer term. It may bear fruit later in this life. It may bear fruit in another life. But along with all of that, you have to realize that our karma, our action, did not end thousands of years ago. When we think about predestiny, most of us tend to think, oh yeah, it was, kind of written somewhere in the ether thousands of years ago. What you're doing right here, right now is karma, it's action. It's creating destiny. Yes, you will have fruits of the seeds that you have planted in the past. But the seeds you're planting today are going to bear fruit in your future. And they will interweave with the seeds that you've planted before. So, some things you can't change. Where you are right here, right now, in every aspect of your life, can't change it. We can't rewind life. But you can change tomorrow. You can change next week. You can change next month. I always say, right here, right now, is the pre of that which has been predestined for you in the future. You're creating your pre right here, right now. That's the free will. We have total free will. You are sitting in satsang. You made a choice. You made a choice to come here instead of be in a bar someplace. And you wouldn't find one in Rishikesh, but so first you made a choice to come to Rishikesh. But even being in Rishikesh, I mean, you could be in a pizza parlor, but you're here. When you leave from here, you'll make choices. Every choice you make is impacting the other choices. And it's transforming your life. So that which you've already done, don't worry about it. Nothing you can do anyway. Can't rewind it, can't change it, can't undo it. It's going to bear whatever fruit it's going to bear. There's no point worrying about it because, again, there's nothing you can do. So worry about that which you can do, which is every action from this moment. And it includes thoughts, because thoughts guide our actions. And it includes acts of what we call acts of omission, meaning not doing something is just as much an action as doing something. And this is a real key aspect in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Because as Krishna is speaking to Arjuna about karma and the cycle of birth and death and coming back, Arjuna says, I don't want to do anything then. I don't want to get stuck in this cycle. And Bhagavan Krishna says, you can't help it. Everything you do is action. You could run off to the mountains, close your eyes, plug up your ears, sit on your hands. And he didn't say it exactly like this, but this was the point. You can absolutely stop everything, but you're still acting. Because not doing what you should be doing is an action. Somebody falls down in front of you and you don't bend down to help them, that's an action. And that's going to have repercussions. People are suffering and dying in our world, you don't do something, that's an action. And that's what we have free will for, is to decide how to act, to plant those seeds that create our destiny. So use them. Beautiful. Yes. Yes.
Hello. So you said that we are not our thoughts, but you also explained that our thoughts fire and wire chemical processes that create our emotion and create our emotion, and we feel it every day, all over the day. So and I understand that, but my question is, how does it feel to understand that? I mean, does the feeling doesn't exist? How do I know that I really understand and live it and believe it?
Beautiful.
I hope I...
Beautiful, yeah. How do you know that you know? You'll notice a shift in you. When most of us have an emotion, we feel like that emotion is king or queen or God, as in, well, of course I was angry, so I had to hit him, of course. He betrayed me, he lied to me, he cheated me, of course I was angry. As in, I had no choice. As in, that chemical and electrical pattern in my brain was more powerful than my free will, than my intellect, than my awareness. And therefore it made me angry, It made my heart rate go. It made my palms all sweaty. It made me pick up my hand and hit him or want to hit him. Somebody says something not so nice about you, or does something that feels hurtful. When we're still stuck, the mind goes, I'll show them. How dare they? Who do they think they are? Or we internalize it and we feel awful. Oh my God, how could they? And again, we feel we've been hijacked in a way. Our freedom, our joy, our peace, the very nature of who we are has been hijacked by someone else's word or action that caused a chemical and electrical reaction in my brain. When I realize I'm not those, then what you discover is there's a place, and it's very hard to describe in words, but it's not that difficult to understand it experientially. But you find a place that is able to be aware of the chemical and electrical pattern. So you become able to watch it. And you notice there is anger brewing. But you're not the anger, you're the one aware of the fact that there is anger brewing. You are watching a pattern of thought that says, I am worthless. I'm not good enough. That's why this happened. And you're the one aware. You're not the one feeling it. You're the one aware. You're watching it. And the more you identify as and anchor in the one who is watching, we call this sakshi, witness consciousness. That I'm just the witness. At this moment, I am aware of anger. At another moment, I am aware of joy. I'm aware of sadness. I'm aware of frustration. I'm aware of lust. I don't have to act on them. I'm aware of them. I'm noticing them. They are happening in the chemistry and the electricity of my brain or my adrenal glands or whatever it may be. But I'm the one who's aware. And then slowly, as your meditation deepens, you start to be able to anchor in a place that's aware that you're aware. And you start being able to go actually even deeper. And then these things happen. It's like watching the ocean. There are waves and they go up and they go down. But I'm no longer in the waves. I'm watching the waves. And it doesn't mean that life becomes boring. I mean, I may certainly decide every once in a while to jump in with a surfboard or a bathing suit or whatever it may be. But I recognize that I don't have to be in the waves and that I have this beautiful opportunity to be watching them. And that's how you know. When you feel stuck, when you find yourself thinking or saying that there was no alternative, of course I was hurt. Of course I was angry. Of course I had a temper tantrum. Of course I went and buried my face in a six-pack. Of course I did. Then you're not free. But when you can watch it, then you are. Okay? Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. And a beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from all over the world. Tomorrow we will start with this. Kal iske saath shuru kare. And I look so forward to being together again tomorrow. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. So much love to you all.